all the viewers. Welcome to the first episode of the Lord Files podcast.
Woo!
It's amazing to have you all here, and it's been a long time in the making. So, today on the show, we have our guest star, Vrinda Jairam. Now, she might be our age, but she's pretty accomplished.
Brinda Jairam is a 16-year-old poet who has already published two books. She is 16 and she has still has two books under her name, namely Whispers Beyond the Hustle, which is a personal, very own publishment, entirely her own. And she's also been part of an anthology called Mountain Lights, which is a compilation of basically multiple poets from across the world in one book. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're gonna delve into the world about books. We're gonna delve into the world about publishing. We're gonna delve into the world about hobbies, passions, interests, and following them. And most of all, we're gonna delve into the world of Vrinda. So I'm Danvi, and I'll be your host today. And I'm joined by
Samriddhi! Mainly people call me Sam. I think Dhan will also refer to me as Sam. Y'all can call me Sam. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful time today. I hope you guys have a wonderful time and have fun listening or watching to a podcast wherever it might be on Spotify, on YouTube, SoundCloud.
let's get started with the podcast. Anyways, so it's wonderful to have you here, Vrinda. Welcome to the first edition of the Lore Files podcast. So
Woo!
let's
Hi,
go.
thank you
We're
for
here.
inviting me. I'm pretty excited to be
It's
here.
our pleasure, honestly. We
No,
generally love
it's
to
my
have you here.
pleasure to be here. Thank you
No,
guys. Thank you.
oh my God, you're so sweet.
Oh, and you guys are so sweet.
How would you
It,
introduce yourself?
oh, me. Well, I would say I'm actually a dramatic person, I would say. Jack of all trades. You have heard, right? Jack of all trades is a master of
Oh,
none.
yes, yes.
I believe sometimes a jack of all trades is better than the master itself. So for me, I cannot stick with one hobby. I have to be good at multiple things. I mean, I have some set standards for myself. Even people around me push me to do my best at everything. So luckily, I have very nice people around me that support me and my pretty ambitious dreams. So yeah, I mean, I am a writer, as you all know. I am also an orator. Where I sing too. I have been singing for the past 12 years. I have been playing tennis for the past 8 years. I'm also interested in table tennis. I mean, pretty much everything, drama too. And yeah, I am a debater. Yeah,
Do
MUNs
you
and
act?
debates.
Do you act
Yeah,
too? You're not even just a jag, bro. You're literally a master. If you're telling me you did
no,
tennis for
I
8 years, you've been singing for 12 years, and you call that just a jag?
oh my God, you guys are too nice.
Also, I read somewhere that people who are like, there's this, people usually just cut off the coat at like jack of all trades, but like uh masters of none, right? But there's this one like the entire quote. It's like they basically mention about how being a jack of all trades, you basically have a better chance at business because you know a lot about a lot of things. So you can just like
Yeah,
get experts on that side of the, matter and expand from
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, people are pretty much very criticized every day for being a jack of all trades. I mean, they say that, I mean, it isn't appreciated in society. People
Yeah,
like focus on one stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I oppose that.
that's amazing, bro. Generally, respect. So you've written your poem.
It's
Yes.
called Whispers Beyond the Hustle.
Yeah,
You
oh
have
my
a
God.
paperback with you?
That's
But
insane.
yeah, I mean, I have this
So cool.
copy with me everywhere. I mean, people are asking about it because my father literally posted it everywhere. So yeah. Have
So, tell me about your book. Like, how would you describe your book full of poems to our viewers and to your readers as well?
I mean, so there's always something that inspires a writer to write. For
Yeah.
me, it was nature as a metaphor. So love in the form of nature. I use nature as metaphor for showing love and passion and compassion and all that nice and positive stuff. but somehow my poems turn out to be pretty negative actually, so self-doubt and stuff. So they say whatever you experience around yourself, you write about that. So my book is actually a mixture of the two, positive poems and negative poems. So it's like how when you notice things around you, notice life around you, you actually start getting ideas and you start writing on your own. So for me, it was when I started noticing nature pretty closely. I mean, yeah, looking at birds and sunsets and whatnot, and then looking at some of my actual life experiences and then weaving them into poems. So yeah.
That's great. Now, inspiration strikes in the weirdest places. You were talking about your motivation from nature and all. So, was there any weird moment when this light bulb in your head just went off? Wow, I need to put this in a book.
Oh my God, all the time. Sometimes it's like class, sociology class, psychology class, all the
Boring.
not yeah, I would say boring.
Psychology is not boring, but
That is
sociology.
not boring. I mean, stuff that needs to be written down and you need to hear the other person yapping. So, yeah. Um, I get inspiration suddenly because, like, I'm looking out of the window and my subconscious is working, and boom, I get an idea. I mean, yeah, there was this one very weird time I got an idea. It was while I was playing tennis and talking to my tennis teacher, and then he asked me, क्या हो गया तुम्हें? What are you doing? What are you looking at? And I'm like, I started randomly talking about poetry and yeah, basically telling him poetry lines. It was Hindi poetry, so it was like "Dil Toote Aashiki Wali wo." So he just looked at me like I was some alien. But yeah,
Did you like, randomly start reciting the poem in front of him?
yeah, I did. I did. I was just looking at the sky, and then he was asking me what is wrong, and then I started talking about it. So yeah.
Eh, do you have any specific influences on your book from any authors, stories, poems you've read before?
I would say definitely Robert Frost. I love his poems. I have two of them pinned on my bulletin board right now: Fire and Ice and Stopping by the Woods. I absolutely love them. So how he writes about, I mean, my thoughts and I would say Robert Frost's thoughts are quite same. The only thing is he's talking about life and I'm talking about love. So he's also taking nature as metaphors and so do I. So yeah, definitely influenced by his poems, definitely I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading Robert Frost in 10th grade, right?
Um,
It was just normal nature, like dust of snow, fire and ice. They were just
yeah,
a crow sitting on a tree, but he was able to draw such different conclusions from it. A poet,
exactly,
it's
yeah.
like a regular person wouldn't be able to make those connections. A poet's mind just works differently.
So, you, as you previously mentioned, you published your book when you were 15, not even 16. And some people, they work their entire life towards publishing a book, just to publish like one book and get it out of the way. You at 15 have already published a book. Run us, the viewers and the readers, through what the process was like the publication process, getting in contact with the publishing officer, like the companies, even like the creation of the art cover, all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people have asked me this question before in an interview only, actually. So, for me, my first publication was not my own book, but I actually contributed to this anthology, Mountain Lights. This is the book. So, it's like a group of poems clubbed together into a single book. I contributed like one poem. So it was like an ordinary day. I was going to NSD. So I started writing. Took out my notepad and my pen and I started jotting down stuff. Okay. And then I gave it a structure and then I showed it to my parents. I think it was the first the first nice poem that I wrote. I mean, earlier I used to just jot down stuff, not like a very standardized form. Then I gave it a structure and it actually turned out to be nice and deep. So my parents said that, yeah, that's actually pretty nice. And it wasn't actually me who decided to publish it. Uh, if you ask me, my first publication, it wasn't even Mountain Lights. It was when I was in eighth grade and I contributed to this global magazine. My dad's friend used to run that global magazine. So he said that, come on, Vinda, you should just like contribute to it. So, and I did. after eighth grade, I mean, I just stopped writing. I stopped writing and stuff. So my dad one day he comes up to me and says that maybe you should start publishing stuff. And then one day I was just scrolling through Insta and I came across this publication. It's called Writer's Pocket. It's actually helping aspiring writers to publish their work. So I decided to see if I can get selected. A whole lot of people just send their poems and pieces, and then some of them get rejected, and some of them they get finalized. So mine did, and I said that, oh my god, if it did, let's just take this opportunity and publish my poem. So that was the turning point for me. That was the point when I actually started writing poems, like 5 or 7 a week, I would say. And once I had like a group of poems with me, a group of like nice poems, you would say. My dad saw that I had this little poetry notebook with me, a poetry collection, you would say. So he had this in my, I mean, I had this in my mind that deep down I need to publish something before I need to become something before I mean turn 18, because obviously I wanted to make an impact on people. Because yeah, so when I initially started writing, there were a lot of haters who used to make fun of writing stuff on love and stuff. I mean, you get it, teenage bullies and stuff. So, I mean, my dad, he just comes up to me and says, I heard you wanted to publish a book. And I said, yes. So he showed me this website. So my dad said that, you remember Writer's Pocket that you published with? This is a publication like that. Maybe you should try contacting the publication. And I did. So it was actually my father and my mother who encouraged me to publish it. And yeah, so it was a 21-day challenge, and yeah, I had 21 poems. Some of them I wrote after I contacted the publication, and then I mean I forgot about it. I gave the publication my stuff, and then I forgot about it. Some, I mean, 6 months later they contacted me and said, your book is ready to be published and stuff. And then suddenly I remembered that, oh my god, I have a book to publish. So we went to this trip, and I clicked pictures for my cover, and then I made this cover, and the next day my book got published. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire journey. Pretty
So
That's
that came to
normal.
my mind. How do you market your book? How do you word of mouth?
I honestly do not. So when I got this award, my publication, the my the that Bookleaf Publishing. So my publishers, they actually permanently displayed my book in their bookshop, and I think I have a lot of supportive friends who just definitely show off a lot about their friend writing a book. But at this point, I'm doing not much about marketing. So yeah, because my aim is not to market stuff. Maybe letting people, showing the world my work. Maybe I will do that later. Maybe when I reach a certain level, but not nothing as such now. So yeah,
That's
pretty
actually really
interesting.
cool. So the
ordinary.
way you wrote the poems, they were published at face value. Do
Um,
any editing, the publishers?
Mm, No, they didn't edit it. I mean, they had a package where poems could be edited by the editors of the respective publication. But then I decided that no, I mean, I want my poems to be published as it is, because my first publication when I was in eighth grade, they edited it a bit, and it sounded not nice, I would say. So I said that yeah, I want to publish it like that only. I don't need editing and all that. I am very capable of editing on my own, and I said yeah, publish it like that only. So I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you mentioned anthologies earlier. Can you tell
Yeah.
the viewers the difference between anthologies and books, poems?
So an anthology is basically a group of poems. See, this book is a bit thicker than my book. So my book only has like my poems. This is my book. My book has only my poems, and that too only 21 poems. An anthology is basically a series of poems clubbed together in a single book. So for me, the writer's pocket, that actually brought about like hundreds of people from different countries. Their works were clubbed into one single book, and yeah, this is an anthology, or you can say a book. So yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's basically like a compilation of multiple
Yeah,
different poems from like multiple different artists
yeah,
and poets.
exactly. Yeah, that only.
That's
So
amazing.
for all
That's
the viewers
impressive.
watching, that's always an option. Like I've seen so many people writing poems and they're always so nice to read. So this is such a good option for all of them. A lot of writers, they'll be writing, writing, and then suddenly their mind just stops.
Yeah,
Have you ever been through this writer's block?
yeah, yeah. And I wrote a poem on it. I
Ooh, that's very, very,
yeah.
very creative.
Thank you so much. So I was facing this writer's block, and then my mind suddenly was completely blank. I was thinking, "Oh my God, what should I write? What should I write?" And I decided to write it on the writer's block only, and that is how my writer's block ended up going away, and it turned out to be pretty beautiful actually, and pretty
Hmm.
relatable that too.
Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, would you like to tell us like what's like this one poem that you particularly like the poem you've written, or literally any poem that you've like ever read or have come across? What is that one specific poem that like never leaves your mind? Like that one like all-time favorite poem?
Um, I mean, there are two actually.
Oh,
When I
amazing.
started writing, my classmates were not very supportive. They used to mock me because I mean, I don't know why, just bullies. So they used to mock me
Secure.
for so they used to mock me for writing and stuff. They used to read my poems and they used to be like, I wasn't a very nice writer then. And I was pretty mean to people. So of course,
Oh,
karma hits me. Um, because they were mean to me. So one day
oh,
I was
well,
just
it's
sitting.
deserved.
I know, well deserved. So one day I was just sitting and thinking, what is happening with me? And that is when I started writing. So everything, I used to be pretty sad, pretty sad. So I started writing. I just took my pen and I started writing. I said, do not give up. Kid, that's your dream. Being better than them, being more successful than them is your dream. So I started writing and I said, oh my God, no, haters, you are my actual inspiration and I will write it down. So I started writing and then I just I just came across this pretty beautiful piece that I wrote. It's called Brave Heart of Mine. I mean, I honestly wasn't expecting it to turn into a poem, and it's actually one of the. I write very short poems. It's actually one of the longest poems I've written, and yeah, it's just always on the back of my mind. I mean, my science teacher, my science tutor, also, he once came and said that yeah, that is what I felt when certain college, certain institute did not let me in. I mean, my application was rejected, and then after that, my other teacher and my some of my friends, they said that this one's pretty relatable, Brinda. And I said, I know. I mean, I know it is pretty relatable and I like it. That was the first poem. And the second poem was it's actually called The Clouds. It's actually about when people leave you. I mean, there's a very special person in your life, maybe a friend, your significant other, and then suddenly they leave and then your life meaningless. So I mean, if you have that much faith and that is how much important they are to you, and when they leave, you're basically empty, blank. And I mean, your other goals apart from a life with your best friend, your significant other, whatever, your soulmate, and your other dreams. So when you come across such a situation, you feel pretty empty and blank. When that happened to me, I started writing. I said that, I mean, enough is enough. I mean, I need to get out of this. So I started writing. And I wrote this poem, The Clouds, that say that people are going to come and go. There are going to be bad people who are going to lead you to very bad stuff. And I used autumn and harsh winter to signify those tough times. So when bad people lead you to that path, you need to return and you need to go on the right path, like the clouds. So yeah.
That, as you know, Indian society, it's like one direction. IIT, UPSC, need
Yeah.
your life is set. They don't want you to focus on what you actually enjoy doing. And
Yeah.
it's like you have to put your passion in the back seat. So
So
what do you feel about that?
I mean, that is a question that a lot of people have asked me. For me, I would say I had nice parents who actually cared about my feelings and stuff. They let me do absolutely everything. For me, I chose a career path that is a little less followed. Still, like followed, but a little less followed. So my parents were pretty supportive. They let me choose my own stream. I wanted to take PCM and science and just go into that rat trap and that rat race and stuff. But like my parents said that no, you can be pretty good at writing and humanities, basically the social studies, which is not very acceptable in Indian society. When people take humanities, they are considered dumb and intellectually inferior. So for my parents, it was actually them who noticed that I am actually capable of writing and stuff. So they said, no, you need to take humanities. And then I took humanities and I fell in love with the subject. From my hobbies perspective, I would say they let me do absolutely everything until exams came because, I mean, yeah, they are supportive, but like till an extent. So when exams came, I used to stop for a while and then I used to continue again. So my parents acknowledged the fact that there should be a healthy relation between hobbies and studies. But now that now that I am reaching some this I reaching 12th, which is considered a pretty difficult, I would say, not difficult, a milestone. Then I certainly need to cut down on my hobbies. But for me, I always used to make time for my hobbies. My hobbies were actually therapy for me. So instead of actual therapy, actual stuff, I used to just write or sing or maybe swim when I was stressed. Yeah.
Yeah. But
See,
how do you manage to balance that studying aspect? Because that's also important, but so are your
Don't,
hobbies.
don't ask me, don't ask me. So, since I've taken subjects that I like, apart from economics, sorry guys, apart from economics, I actually take interest in certain subjects that require, what do you call that in Indian society? Ratification.
rote learning.
Certain subjects, yeah, certain subjects that require you to read them, write them. I like those subjects. So when I'm studying, I'm also actually doing something that I like. Apart from subjects that require heavy calculations and stuff, I'm pretty intellectually inferior in that. So yeah, um, maintaining that balance is something, I mean, which was already in me. Maybe because it was already in the genes. My parents are actually pretty more successful than I am, so it was maybe in the genes. It was seeing my parents do the same and support mainly, so that.
Now I'm curious, is writing a very time-consuming thing, or is it like
Yes.
just sit down, do it, thoughts flow?
Sometimes, if you ask me, sometimes my subconscious is cooking and a piece is formed in my subconscious only, and I just need to write it down. But sometimes, if your subconscious has given you half a piece of a poem, you write it and then you start wondering, oh my God, what do I need to write after that? I am lost. I have absolutely no clue where I need to go. So you just take, that's pretty, yeah, that specific moment is pretty time consuming. You give a lot of thought to it. What should I write in order to make this poem complete? That. But then if you have a poem formed in your mind, which happens most of the time, that isn't time consuming. So yeah.
That's an amazing thing, bro. I mean, I always thought like writing poems would take like hours and hours of like ruggedifying and just like dogging it out.
Yeah.
You're so passionate about like, writing poems and just publishing your works, right? And you articulate your thoughts so well, right? Has being a poet always been like a childhood dream of yours? Like the very first thing
That
you wanted to be?
That's actually pretty shocking. No, I didn't know I could write until eighth grade. So I had these little
Yeah.
assignments. I had these little assignments in my school, and I used to make my mom write those. But then, yeah, exactly. Yeah, those in my school there used to be like orating competitions where you need to write stuff on your own. It needs to be self-composed. So I used to make my mom write those, and she used to give me a hard time for making her write those things. But yeah, when was it when I realized that I have something that maybe can be can be something that I can use for writing. That skill basically was in ninth grade. Ninth grade certainly. As I said, the first poem that I wrote that actually made sense, "Brave Heart of Mine." The reason behind it, loss of a loved one, not loss, but like the going away of a loved one. Basically, that was a turning point. That was when I started noticing that, acknowledging also that, okay, this has happened to me, and how do I get out of it? So, the how part was solved by writing.
So it started as a coping mechanism for you.
Exactly, yeah. It started as a coping mechanism. Yes.
That's honestly really cool though. But like, yeah. So now we have a lot of people, they're just afraid of doing what they really want to. So what advice would you give any writers or novices of similar ages who want to pursue something similar?
Yeah, that is also a question a lot of people have asked me. For me, it was my loved ones who, it was definitely my loved ones who broke me out of that cage about how I should wonder and it shouldn't matter what others feel about me, what people who criticize my work. Actually, people who criticize my work are helping me by making me become a better writer in terms of my in terms of everything actually. So I would say, if people are afraid of doing something they love, do not be. It's what you're meant for. It's your dream, dude. Come on, you should not care what others think about you, because one day you're gonna leave this world. Definitely, you're gonna leave this world. So you know this song, one day you're gonna leave this world behind. Just know
Avicii,
that,
right?
yeah, yeah. So just like, it doesn't really matter what others think. Just do what you love, because those people are not gonna matter after 10 years, 5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe. So yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly amazing. So that reaches the end of this. And Vrinda, anything you'd like to add before?
No, I'm really glad you guys, thank you so much. I do not have words. I'm honored to be here. I had a lovely time getting to know you guys, and also talking about my experiences is pretty nice actually. So yeah, thank you guys, and please follow the lore files.
Follow Vrinda too, guys.
Thank you
Follow
so
Vrinda
much.
Jairam.
Yeah.
Her
Oh,
writer's
Honestly.
account
Vrinda,
and her private.
Yeah. Can you shout out your books? Let's viewers buy the books
Yeah,
right
scream
now.
it
Okay.
out, shout it out.
Yes.
yeah, guys, buy these books, guys.
That's a threat,
Definitely,
you
you should.
guys. That's a threat.
You guys
Yes.
are too
So
kind. If you buy one of these, you guys might be able to might be able to read a lot of people's work, around 100 people from around the world. So yeah, you should definitely buy this one. And if you guys are going through something like sadness, and if I simplify it, then yeah, buy
Adolescence.
this.
If you're going
Yeah,
through adolescence, buy her book.
yeah. I mean, you
yeah.
should definitely buy it, because my publication found it good, and they awarded me with this. So I think you should.
Ooh.
It's the
Wow.
21st. Thank you guys. It's the 21st Century Emily Dickinson Award. I think
Ooh.
you guys should read it. I mean, it will help you cope up with your life problems too. So yeah.
To our viewers, if you want to do something, go for it. Don't care about the haters. Don't think about what they will think. Just go with the flow. Take a leap of faith, and everything will fall into place. Yeah, this is
That's
me. I'm Danvi. This is me signing out. Sam, anything you'd like to say?
generally like after all of this, I feel motivated to write a poem, bro. Like after this, I'm gonna get off this meeting and I'm gonna write a poem. Like you might see a book coming out of me because of Vrinda's inspiration, bro. Like you're my
Looking forward to
inspiration.
it. Looking forward. Oh my God, that's too kind of you. Looking
Generally,
forward to a book.
it's so like generally so inspiring to see such a young person already having published a book and like getting awards for it. Insane. Insane.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. There's a lot available on the internet, I would say. So yeah, just make good use of internet. So yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening in, for tuning in, for spending your precious, precious time on listening to us, listening to our conversation with Vrinda Jairam. Please check out her books, both This Was Beyond the Hustle and also the anthology Mountain Lights. Amazing books. I'm sure you'll get a lot of insight from this, especially if you're also an adolescent And if you're in that puberty period, you'll share emotions, you'll feel like seen and heard. And yeah, I feel like it would be really beneficial. So please check it out. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Spotify or YouTube, wherever this is posted. And if you want to keep seeing more, keep tuning in. Hit the notification bell.
Make sure to smash that like button, click on the subscribe button, and turn on notifications. 98% of our subscribers are not subscribed.